Hello. Hello. Hello, everyone. Let's wait a second. See if people are joining. If someone can confirm if it's working. Oh, I can see the chat, and I can see like how many people are viewing it. Here showing 0. So, oh, okay, chat is working. Okay. Cool. So yeah. So today. Wait, I can hear myself as well. Wait, let me close the video. Okay, great. Okay. Yeah. So. Hello everyone. So today I'm gonna go through, the technology behind the DearBook. I'm gonna especially demonstrate or show to everyone how the image generation process work, like from here from the UI of the website to how it actually generates the story behind the scenes. Wait a second, just let me have a look here. There are people tagging me on the Telegram groups. Let's see what they're saying. Okay. Okay, great. So, first of all, let me show you how the actual workflow works, right? For the generation, the book generation. So for those who are not familiar with ComfyUI, this is pretty much an open source tool that uses Stable Diffusion for generating images based on prompts. Like you can give it images as well. Like it can be a image to image, can be a text to image, and can also be video to image as well. But yeah, so pretty much what you're seeing here on my screen is the workflow was created for generating the books. So each page of this is one of these nodes here, and I will open a simpler version of this. So so then this one makes sense after I explain how the simpler version works. So let me open here. So I have saved it here as a playground. So everything starts from a model, a base model. Like, I have there is a repository of models online where you can, find more models that has been trained for various kind of tasks. Like there are models that are good for generating realism. Like they can generate pictures of a person that are indistinguishable from a real photo, and there are models that are good at drawing manga, for example. There are models that are good for landscapes. There are models for everything, and there is always a base model where all these models are derived, right? So for example, the Stable Diffusion, I think XL is the one that I'm using, which is like the base model. And on top of that, there are other people who train a better model that's make it maybe a bit more realistic towards the a bit better actually towards drawings or towards imager photorealism, right? So the one that I'm using for this DearBook, it's called Juggernaut XL. That's the official name of it. And on top of that, I have some LoRa's, which is some sort of LoRa's, for those who don't know, is some sort of smaller model that sits on top, that kind of modify the base model towards a specific bias. So for example, if I want LoRa that was trained on the face of some famous people, like I don't know, Johnny Depp, for example. Someone could train a LoRa for that, and then the LoRa is really good at drawing pictures of Johnny Depp, for example, and and then I would just use on my workflow. So I have a bunch here, 4 to be more specific, that gives me a bit of that draws the attention of the prompts of the image generated towards kids drawing, right? So there is a bunch here, and each of them has different weights as I define here. So I have some for that's 80% of weight, some of 60, this one 100, and this one 50, and so on. Then the next step is to actually give a prompt, right? Like what I want to draw. Like I have one prompt here that I just specify here, like a panda. I want one panda, right? Or could be a bird, could be anything. Like let's say I want one panda, panda. Just give panda. Because if I don't specify if I want one, maybe they will draw a lot, right? Like I have to be very specific. The better the prompt I give is the better the quality of the result, right? Of what I are gonna get. And usually the Excel models, they also accept a negative prompt as well. So like I also can define what I don't want to see on the image, right? Like for example, I generate a panda, but maybe it generates a bird somewhere. So I could also specify that I don't want the bird to be on the image. I just want a panda, right? And if I try to draw a parallel with what I have on the website, so it would be on this advanced tab here, we have like a title, we have like the positive prompt, and we have the negative prompt. So whatever you type on the positive prompt, before actually I send it to ComfyUI, I will use a large language model to how do you can say, to enhance what you wrote in here, because you could come here just write a cute panda, for example, right? But that's not going to be enough to generate like a nice image. Like it has to have way more details than that, right? So just for instance, like I have here some prompts that I took from the database, which for example I'll paste here. So for example, look, the user never really wrote all these inputs. It was a simple input, and then the large language model came with this a more detailed description. Look, a magical kingdom hidden behind a waterfall with lush greenery and colorful flowers surrounding it. Like it kind of tried to describe the scene as a it's in the entirety, right? And this makes the generation much more precise. But yeah, just for demonstration, let me just type panda for now, and I will leave the negative prompt as empty. And then I have the next step here, the next node that's called here, which is a case sampler, right? Is what actually ticks the world into this ComfyUI world here, which it requires like a resolution, like how big I want my image to be as one of the inputs here. It requires the positive and the negative prompt, which are these two here, and the model, which is the base model that has been enhanced by some LoRa's and then plugged to case sampler. Then it decodes the image into something that we can see with this decoder here, and then a preview node that just to show what I want. So if I click here Q, it will just generate it again. So I just give it panda. It's you see here green, it's working. That means it's processing. There is also a progress bar that's behind the scenes here. And usually this process is, depending on the model being used, can take like from seconds to minutes, right? Per page, right? Imagine like we have 10 pages per book on the website, so it takes like because of the servers that I'm using right now is kind of powerful. It takes like 40 seconds, I would say 40 seconds, yeah, in total for generate the 10 pages. But depending on the hardware that you have, it may take longer. And all of this, all you are seeing here right now is running on my computer, on my local computer. You see the IP address here. This is local. So look, this image I just said a panda, right? And it gave me a panda holding a book. And why I have a book here? Because I kind of hidden some information here. So I kind of concatenated two prompts into one, like using another node. So then I can, specify some more information. So for example, I wrote here even style. This one is like a trigger word for one of these LoRa here. So whenever this one of these LoRa see this word, it will say, oh, I need to draw into this art style, right? So that's why you see this panda in this shape here and with these characteristics, and also that's why you see all the imagery on the website that kind of looks the same, like is kind of the same line, because they are all following the same LoRa. They all use the same LoRa that has been trained against a specific style, right? And then I have also here a children book artwork. So that's why I think the word book here, that's what gave this panda a book on his hand, right? But I could keep going, like I say, panda holding a bamboo, for example, instead of a book, right? So now they are conflicting, right? Not conflicting, because here I didn't say the panda is holding a book, right? I just say a children book artwork, right? And then let me generate again to see what it's gonna be. I guess it's gonna be right. Panda holding a bamboo. And it's generating. And of course, there's also a lot of options to tweak. The algorithms use it to generate. Oh, so you see now it's holding a bamboo. Kind of bamboo leaves, right? And there are some bamboo on the background. I can be more specific again, like, just by improving my prompt here, it's gonna improve the generation as well. But let me, the easiest thing is just to ask, ChatGPT or something to generate the prompt for you. So for example, I have here a prompt on this website here. I have I already gave a system prompt here for this for this AI to generate prompts based on my inputs. So if I type here, so it will improve to me. So a giant panda with a distinctive black and white fur sitting peacefully in a lush bamboo forest, blah 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 blah, right? So this prompt is way better. So when I type it in here, I'm gonna get a better image. Actually, this image I think is pretty cool already, right? Like, it's crispy, it's cartoonish, it's fun. Like, feels like the kind of image that the website is generating already. But let's see what do I get when I get a better prompt. Well, a better panda, let's say. It's more realistic. In this case, he is eating, right? And if I don't like this, I don't even need to change the prompt. I can just change the seed here and ask it to generate again. It will give me a different composition, a different animal, overall. And so, as you can see, right now, this is the process for generating one page, right? So we have 10 pages per book, right? And these texts here, they are dynamically generated based on what you input here. So whatever you input here, it's gonna be, with the AI, I'm gonna ask the AI, you need to create a story with what the user said in here, and the story cannot contain these elements that has been specified on the negative side. The story title should be whatever you write in here. And then we have some safe mechanisms, right, to make sure that the generated story is not, inappropriate for children, right? And then if all these checks are okay, then I feed it dynamically the text for each page into boxes like this on this ComfyUI, and the negative goes into here, right? and yeah, and then the pages are generated one by one. So if I go back like to that first example that I showed at the beginning, like the complete one here, which is the actual workflow being used, you see the LoRa is very much the same, and I have placeholders in here. So I wanna, for example, for the page 1, I wanted the text that was generated for the illustration 1, and then here text that was generated for the illustration 2, and so on. And then I also have some for the cover. So I want a book, illustration of a children illustration style book cover with this exact title, which is the title that the AI generated, right? And I give some more details. I want it to be cinematic. I want it to be 4K, high detail, with intrinsic details, right? So these kind of keywords make the AI build the image in such way, right? So then the cover of the books looks more interesting, right, than a mere illustration. Sometimes it even adds the title, right? And so on. So you see, like all the pages get generated like that. Like I have the 6, the 7, the 8, the 9, the 10, and then I have like a backdrop, right, which I give a bit more information, like the synopsis of the book, and I want it to be a background environment. I want it to be clean, and for all of these prompts here, there is also a negative one, which I just say this is the negative ones for all of them. This is for the simple mode. The advanced mode, this part is dynamic, but for the simple mode, I just say, I don't want the image to be blurry. I don't want it to have poor hands, poor faces. I don't want the humans missing fingers. There's many of these kind of prompts, keywords that I added here to try to avoid the AI generating poor quality images, right? So still there are a lot to do, right? Like you still can go even further on the generation, right? So when this is generating, 10 images get generated, then through API I will retrieve this image, save it back to the database, and and then the whole process is done, right? So you can preview your book. But in terms of improvements, what could be improved on all of this? Like how can we get better results, or different styles of illustration? There are many ideas that I have that I will try to implement right in the future, as soon as everything else that's more important right now is sorted out. Like this AI generation process are also gonna get improved. These two also support, for example, some short animation, GIF animation, for example. And when we are into when we have better models, like this is gonna be perfect for it as well. Like right now, it's already possible to generate at some extent, but it's very compute expensive. So it's kind of require even a stronger computer to do that, and it could also be very slow as well. But I just try to show you some more of the possibilities that's possible to do in ComfyUI, so you can kind of try to visualize or see what can be done in the future. So for example, let's take this picture of the panda. So let's say, what if in the future we have a input for you to add an image as a reference? Like, what if you want the panda to have a specific art style? Maybe you don't like this one, you want to give your own. So let's just search here, panda illustration panda on Google. Let's find some images. Let me see. How about cute? Cute, but cute as well. So for example, let's pick up this image here. What if you wanted the image, your panda, to be like this one? Like, we could have in the future a function, right, that you could upload the images and use that as a reference. So, and how that would work in ComfyUI. So look, I just paste the image here. So in ComfyUI, there is this concept of IP adapters. So let me just add one very quickly here. So I get an IP adapter. I plug the things here. What net has to be plugged where? Right here, this to this. I have a clip vision. I already have one loaded in here. I need IP adapter. Where's my IP adapter? I'll search IP adapter model loader here. So now I have a new model as the output, a new model that has a higher influence, is being influenced by this image, right? So everything that it tries to draw, it will try to draw in this style, or try to draw for what it thinks that this style is, right? So then instead of giving the model that I gave before, I'll give this one now, and I will change here some settings, like for example, I want it to copy the style and composition of it. Okay, so I will generate. So now it's loading the models to memory. And yeah, and it's gonna start generating. Okay, so it's on this step now. Okay, now on this one. So it's loading. And I give it a second. Almost there. Okay, decoding. Okay, so you see, look, the two images now, one side the other. They are pandas. They kind of have the same style. Like, you know, it copied the background color. It kind of a mixture with the style that I had before, with this style, right? And the eyes feels similar, you know, it feels more chubby as well, right? And wow, and it's not limited to panda, right? Like I could have give the prompt here, I don't want a panda, I want a giant dog, change to a giant dog instead of panda. And because they have fur, right? So they might look similar, right? Maybe I should change the animal, maybe a giant dinosaur, for example. So it would still follow the same style, even if with whatever I write, right? And yeah, and of course there are settings as well. Like you could change the influence. Like for example, right now it's using 100% of this image. Like take the weight is 100%. I could, like, you know, just take like 50%, and then yeah, it didn't kind of work, this one. But I could say take 50%, and then I could have a multiple images, not just one, right? So imagine that this could be, you know, in the future, option on the website, right? Like where you can give your image as a reference. You know, it's very common. Oh, let's say very common, but it's very, you know, easy to do like a face, let's say a face ID. On the lingo, right? That of these tools here is, you can take an image with your face and put on somewhere else, right? Like, so imagine that you're creating a book and then you take a picture of your son, your daughter, right? And the main character there is the face of your daughter, right? Like that could be a possibility. Look, I see Daniel Polito is there. Hey man, what's up? Yeah, so okay, I what I was saying here, I was saying a dog, right? A giant dog. But dog and panda, let's say they anatomically are kind of similar, right? So because this image is a panda, like they will kind of try to draw the same thing. But if we try to make something else, like instead of a giant dog, let's say like a parrot, for example, parrots has nothing in common with a panda, right? So it's gonna be something else now. Generating. Let me see here. 25, 38, 50. And we have something. Okay, yeah, you see. Well, kind of a pen. It has fur, right? It's not a parrot, but it's definitely a bird-like creature. And you see, it's influenced by this image. But let's take another image. Like, how about this one? Look, it's much. Oh, this one has more colors to it. It looks nicer. So let's change to this one. Oh, and I also can give attention, right, to this. Like for example, right now it has the panda and it has this background with some leaves, right? But let's say I just want the attention to be on this image, to be on the panda itself, right? So I can enter into mask mode here. I can, just draw a mask on the panda itself. right? It doesn't need to be perfect. The AI is intelligent. It will know that I just wanted a panda, right? Just something like that, and then I save here. So then I have this mask, then I put this mask into the attention mask of my IP adapter here, and let me bump a bit this and change the strong style transfer. Okay, so generate again, I get the new image. So there are a sea of possibilities that could be done into here, and also there are many tools that can be used to train as well LoRa's. Like could it's much, yeah, you see now it's a bird, and yeah, I don't think like it looks much like this image. So let me actually remove the mask. Delete the image by mistake. Let me don't add any mask. Just see how it will do it. What it will do without the mask. As I was saying, like there are many possibilities that could be done. There is also pose estimation. There is also another thing called pose estimation. Like I have here some sample that I was doing before just to test. Look, let me uncomment this. There is this thing called control net, right? That you can use. Look, I kind of can see this panel in here somehow. Look, I can use one image as reference to pick up the pose. So for example, I took this pose here, which is kind of a karate pose. I resize it to to be on the same size as my original image, right? So I got this image here that's resized, smaller than this one. Then I use like a preprocessor that will try to extract the pose of this image, and will generate like this sticky image here, right? Like it's a way for the AI to know, or whenever you need to draw a figure and you need to follow a pose, this is the pose that you need to follow. So I get this pose and I apply to a control net. What this control net does pretty much tries to change my prompt towards this, right? So now let me plug this. So I will take this the positive one, and I'll use a concact positioning node that I can mixture this parrot. Let's change it back to panda. So it's a panda, Kung Fu Panda. So I concact them together. So now I have a mixture of my original panda plus a karate guy, like a karate pose, into one prompt. So then I prompt this on the positive, and then and then I run, right? And then what I should get in the end is a panda kind of following this position here, right? Let's see if the AI will do it. So it's loading. Yeah, there is a lot of features, there is a lot of possibilities, there is a lot of things that could be done. I think right now we have 10 pages generation. Like I think the next step would be have like one workflow of this that you can generate just one page, right? So that means you could edit a specific page, and maybe that one workflow could be more elaborated, right? Could have more settings, like everything that I'm showing here. Imagine that everything that you see here could be one single prompt, one single workflow, right? Like, and all the settings that you see here could be configurable from a settings page, right? That would be you could get like way more control than what we have right now. Look, I got to the panda now into the karate pose. Okay, let's see. Yeah, it's very similar, right? Like the hand's not open, but for that I could increase the weight here. You see there is a weight. I could make it stronger to true, for example, and then that would give more importance to the pose than to my original panda prompt that was just a panda. Or I could just change the seed. Say changing the seed just means try again. It will try change the whole composition, may give you a better result or a worse result. It's all depend, right? And I can also ask it to generate me 4 files, 4 images instead of just one. So I can use to compare. Now, so let me generate after this one. So Peter Lee is asking, how is the text content of the story produced? How is it generated through keywords? Okay, so wait a second. So now this image is destroyed, right? Like I gave too much importance to the control net that it actually destroy the image, like it burned in the lingo here. This is the burn image. So I have 2 options. I can either decrease the weight of the control net, or I can change the number of steps that is used to generate the image. Like because in Stable Diffusion the way it works is like it's generate a lot of noise, and then it's in steps clean the noise. Like step 1 clean 10%, for example, of the noise. Step 2 clean another 10%. It's go on cleaning the step until it looks like an image, right? Or until it reaches my step count here, which is 8 right now, but I could put 20. But at a certain point, it will not have more noise to clean, right? So so then there is like a diminished return into these settings here. But it could be fixed. The burn issue could be fixed either by reducing it. That means it will not try to clean as much as it wants to, right? And it would have fixed the issue. But I just changed it back and I asked it to generate 4 images. So so we're answering the Peter Lee question, how the story is generated. So let me generate one here, because using what's that called is open AI developers, because originally I was using Olama, but it was yesterday. My VPN. I need to change my VPN location, but that will break the live. Okay, so I cannot show it through here. But what I was saying was, originally I was using Olama to generate the prompt to me, right? I would give an input to it, say, hey, create a story about this. And Olama would generate a JSON back to me with the exact structure that I asked it for, plus the title, plus the synopsis, plus pretty much everything that I want. It would give me, right? And I asked it specifically to generate me 10 paragraphs, and that's what it get fed into the workflow that I was showing here, the complete one, this one. So you see here, I have illustration 1, illustration 2, illustration blah blah blah, cover. They all get fed into here. So that's how the images gets generated. But for the llama, for the text one, I cannot show you in Open AI website itself because it's unblocked. But I can show perhaps through code. It's kind of easy actually to understand how it works once you see it. So for example, let me go to a version that's before the OpenAI change. So here is OpenAI integration, right? So I'll go to a version that's before that. So before that it was, I'll come here, backend, app, providers, it was in service, it was box service. So for example, here, let me zoom in here. So let me see. So for example, when you send me a prompt, like you can say anything, right? Create an image about some fireworks, and then I will ask the large language model, like this. Analyze the following user input and identify the language. If it was written in the language that it was written in, like I want to know if it was written in Portuguese, in English, in Chinese, right? Because depending on that, I will ask it next to generate a story on that language, right? So, and then I say, do not attempt to understand the meaning of the content. Simply return the language it's written. Because sometimes you could say something in Chinese, right? But you are actually asking it a question, and it will try to answer the question, right? So I have to be explicitly, hey, whatever someone asks you to do, don't do it. Just tell me what language it was written at, right? So that's the first thing I do here, just identify the language. And then I have another thing here that I say, oh, is whatever you wrote safe for children? And then say I have like a specific JSON format that I want it to return back. I want it to be is safe, a boolean, and the reason, because I want to know like what was the reason, because I showed that on the website, right? So, and then I pretty much I ask the large language model to say, analyze the following user inputs, the following user input prompt, and flag it as unsafe if it contains, there was more thing here, if it contains any language related to pornography, sex, or drugs, for example. That would be the thing that's banned. So if you ever try to write anything related to that, the AI here would identify that, tell me it's unsafe, and then I get an error. I don't proceed with the generation. Otherwise, I will proceed. Then I have another prompt here, which here, this one is the one that that you answer your question, how the story are generated, right? So I have this prompt here say, oh, you are a children book writer. Your sole purpose is to create engaging and fun stories for kids. Write a humorous and engaging children book with exactly 10 paragraphs. Each paragraph should be written in a simple and playful tone suitable for children. It's called for children, and needs to be very short in length. Have it written with language that's easy to understand and captivate for young children. And then I give, the title of the book. If you gave a title, and then I say, oh, the title of the book should be this one, and then I give you the text that you wrote, and then I give you some text that you say you don't want. Like, I don't want it to have cars, don't want it to have birds, anything that you want. I said in here, like, exclude anything related to that. And then some hard rules, right? Like I say, oh, the story must be written in the language I already detected before, right? So then that's how it supports Chinese, English, Portuguese, whatever, right? Avoid mixing the languages, right? Sometimes it can start in English, but because this prompt itself is in English, it may start, for example, start in Chinese and then become English in the end, right? Because it's because I prompt it in English, right? So it tends to answer in English as well. So I kind of have to be more explicit about it. And just give pretty much the instructions to it, and then it will give me the stories, right? And then with that, I can, do everything else. But I don't use the actual paragraphs that you read on the website to generate the artwork in ComfyUI. Why? Because your story is like saying, like, for example, you have a page in here that may say something like this. I have a Max. He was very happy seeing his friend. Okay, who's Max? What's Max? Is Max a dog? Is Max a bird? Is a turtle? Who's his friend? Is a bunny? Is what? Like, the image tool here, ComfyUI, it will not know how to draw Max if he doesn't know if that Max is a dog, for example, right? So I have another prompt here that does pretty much this. It will get the story. I give the whole story to it and say, hey, replace all the names that you see here with its biological type. Like, for example, if Max is a dog, don't say and Max did something. Say and a dog bark, for example, right? It will not try to say their names. It will try to say their types, right? Like it will also try to avoid this call like a he or she or it, right? Or group or duo or things like that. Like, it will always try to be very explicit about that paragraph, what that paragraph represents. And then what I get here is a much better prompt for generating the images. And that's what I use for the images. And and then they get dynamically fed into these placeholders that I have here. And and the generation happens, right? It's pretty, I think, there are many things that can be done yet. There are many things that we could do still to improve. You see, look at my panda here now, much cuter, right? But I still feel like it's too much noise, messy, right? Like the style. Like, I could I could disable some LoRa for testing it out. Like for example, disable this, and this, and generate again. Yeah, but I think is it just as I mentioned, there are many things that we could still do, right? Like to improve the book, and of course we're gonna still keep adding new features, and when it comes to change styles and stuff like that, that I have like a lot of ideas, and I could one of ideas as well in the future is to use a model that generates black and white line drawing, right? Like so we could paint, right? Like print it and color, like give to children to color, like without like always coloring stuff. So this would be one of her pastime, right? Yeah, there is that. Does anyone have any question like that wants to be answered? Does this looks complicated? Is it easy? Is it hard? Do you guys think? What do you guys think about it? Look, I just generate again with less LoRa's applied. Still kind of the same result. I think it's because of the weight of the IP adapter. So if I go lower, I think it's gonna make it better. Yeah, let me check here something. How do you plan to improve the consistency between illustrations? There are two things that could be done to improve. Actually, one thing has already been done. Because when I was using Llama, right, or Llama 3.2, right, which is the model from Facebook, this step that I just mentioned about that is about generating the story, right, the description for story. It would generate the first one, okay, saying Max was a dog, right? It would say dog, but maybe on the paragraph 10 it would already forget about it. It would already forget that it was talking about a dog, and maybe say a squirrel. So then that's the reason why some pages it starts with a dog and then ends with a squirrel or with a human, or sometimes the human is there because it did not mention the dog, it mentioned the name, right, Max, and maybe Max is a human into the training data, right? So it becomes a human. So, and that was a limitation on the Llama model itself, like the context, the token, the length of the token, right? That it can keep the memory. It's not that large, like compare with OpenAI's one. Like it would constantly mess that things up. Like it would have been able to fix that if we had already the feature to edit the pages, right? Like if you could edit the pages, you could spot that, here this page did not say dog, it say Max, so you manually fix that so you would get a better image. But since we don't have that, so it was much easier right now at the moment to just switch to OpenAI. The OpenAI one, the consistency between all the text is much better. It was, it could generate every paragraph mentioning dog, whenever it was related to dog, for example, correctly, right? So I think that part is fixed. The second issue is with the image itself, right? Like for example, maybe the first instance of the dog is a golden retriever, and then on the page 7, for example, it's become a pincher, right? It's still a dog, but it's a different race, right? Like it's different breed of dog, right? So for that, to be able to fix that, we would have needed to have some sort of guidance, some sort of reference. Like for example, just as you see here, I have this image here being used as the guide to generate this image here, right? So imagine that the page 1 Or maybe imagine like this. Imagine that in the future we have a field for you to specify the characters. So you can say, oh, what are the characters of this story? Oh, the character is a dog, is a panda, is whatever. You say first thing you do, you say what are the characters, right? And then imagine that in ComfyUI itself, look, I generate one panda, right? Like just right now, right? I generate a panda. So let me get an image of a panda, and then I use this panda as the reference for all the other pages that mention panda, right? Like, this thing here is chainable. Like, let me make a simple demo here. Like, for example, I got this panda, right? Look, this kind of human panda, right? I can get another instance of this with a different prompt now. Let me copy these prompts, this and this, and then I'll change here, a panda driving a car, and then I will plug into here. But now I will use this IP adapter, a different IP adapter for this one. So actually, this one is using IP adapter. Oh, let me change it. So this one gets the original one, and the second one gets the IP adapter, but the reference image is the same image that was generated here. So that means, let me copy this and this. So this goes in here, and okay. So let me see, this is still influenced by the karate thing here. So I'll get a panda here, and then my next image, let's say page 2, is gonna be generated based on this image here, right? So, but now it has a different prompt as well. So like it's a panda driving a car. So this should be a panda driving a car, but the panda itself should somehow looks like this panda here, right? Of course, pandas all look like panda, but you see this panda is kind of a humanoid, like it has legs, like just like a human, right? And is in a standing straight position. And yeah, so now it generates that image. So now it's generate the second image. So imagine that if we have a characters set into the website, you could specify the character, and then I could pre-create all the characters in one step, and then reference them on other pages, just like I'm doing now. Then whenever a panda has to be drawn, it knows how to draw that panda, right? Not a different one. In this case, kind of the prompt as well. Like I said, like a panda sitting in the car. Yeah. I think it needs to be something standing, some position standing to be able to be similar to this one. Or maybe some characteristic of the panda could say like a panda wearing a hat. So the first one gonna wear a hat. So the second one, I did not mention hats anywhere. So if this work, it would, the influence is also very low. Like, let me put it higher. So if this work, the second panda should also have a hat, even though I did not mention a hat in here, right? So a panda driving a car, that's all I said. But the first one does not have a hat, because of the karate pose. Let me remove the karate pose. Let me see. This one goes to positive here. Okay, so now no karate pose. Generate again. So this panda should have a hat and no karate pose, and then this one should have a hat as well. Okay, while it's generated, let me read the next question here. What do you think about adding some traditional story? For example, Alibaba, etc. We just say their name and the related story. We generate pictures, sounds, or video. What do you mean? Like, the pandas are here, are the same. They're driving a car, but there's no hat. Well, need to change here some settings until I get a good representation of this. I could also do averages instead of that would take time. Yeah, let me try again with this. If it doesn't work, I could do some averaging with the the conditioning here that may get into, like, the next page is now average of the conditioning from the previous one, and so on. So there is always the influence of the previous page to the next one, but it's not an entire influence like 100%. It would be just the average of the weights. Maybe that could also work. Let me see if it works. No, it didn't work. Like, it's still a panda, but no hat. Yeah, what do you mean? You mean that you say that about generating a traditional story? You just say Alibaba and then you get a story. I mean, I'm pretty sure that the large language models would have been trained already based on these books, right? The traditional books. So it will know the story about Aladdin, about Snow White. All this story, I think it should know by heart, right? So they could write, right? But what would be the fun of that? Like, it's much fun, like when you actually try to distort it, right? Like when you try to make your own spin-off of it, right? So I think that would be more interesting if you are free to input whatever story you want, right? Let me try the average here very quickly to see if it will work. So I average this with this and this with the positive. So if it works, I should get a panda in a car with a hat. Without saying a hat. I just say panda driving a car. And that would be the prompt. I got the same panda. Oh, because the average is too big. So it's 0.5. No, actually, it's a good progress, right? I got the same panda, kind of the same hat as well, like with these blue stripes here. It's just some leaves here. There's some differences, but still the same panda. But now with a lower average, I guess I would get the panda with a kind of the same hat, but not on the position that I want, right? So I guess it needs to be even lower. 4. Okay, so is there any more questions? Like, is everyone, oh, it lost the hat. Get the car but lost the hat. So as soon as I lower the averages, this happened. Yeah, I mean, there are many things that I could do, like experiment. I need to experiment, find the right settings, find the right nodes. There are nodes pretty much for anything you can imagine. They have node here. And also models as well, like weights of models influence things. I have different models that, just change the model here. I change the entire story, right? And yeah, that's it, I think. If let me see, there are 9 people live viewing currently, and yeah, if you guys don't have any more questions, then I guess I will leave it into here. Yeah, and we're gonna back to the Telegram and keep building. And there's a guy says Chinese 会开中文吗？我的中文不太好，可以说一点点。Yeah, and the website working. My internet is pretty slow today. Like, I'm trying to click on things here, but it's not loading to my network. It's downloading, and the download. Yeah, guys. So everyone who's here, thanks for watching. And yeah, let's keep it building, right? And if you guys not on the Telegram, please join. And go on, generate your books. If you get any interesting stories, please share on the Telegram group. updates are happening daily, pretty much. There are some updates, that are very important. I don't really mention like on, openly, because, for example, I'm updating the infrastructure of the server. I'm updating, CDNs, things like that. I think even it's hard for people to understand what that actually even means, right? So I'm more announcing updates on functionality, right? Like whenever I have a new button, I have a new function, I improve, a new the generation is faster, for example, I announced that. But today I have started migrating some of the images to a CDN, to a better CDN. And there's still some more to migrate. And anything else? Let's keep the chat open there in the Telegram group. And until the next live, we're gonna figure out like what we're gonna demo next, right? Okay, so thanks for watching, and bye bye.